Hello, everyone, and welcome back again to the Cloud Show. So AI everywhere. Everything has to be AI. I got a commercial from a phone company saying they now are releasing AI versions of their phones. Like apparently everyone has to have AI everywhere. Azure has a lot of AI services. So today on the Cloud Show, we're going to talk about which Azure services there are and when you should use them and so forth. And we're going to do that with an MVP, an AI expert, and we're going to talk today on the Cloud Show with Sam Gomez. Hello there, Sam.
Hey, Magnus, how's it going?
Going very well. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Are you an AI expert?
I don't know. I rather have other people say if I am an expert or not. I'm passionate about it for sure.
Great. That's wonderful. Well, that's good because I know that there are a lot of listeners out there who want to know about AI and AI services and when and how to use which and what and so forth. But before we get into all of that, how about you tell us quickly or briefly who you are, Sam?
Sure. So right now I'm a client partner at a software consulting company called Jenica. So we specialize in custom software development, mostly on the Microsoft and Azure environments. Been doing this software development thing for 17 years, and I just love that problem-solving part of the work. The aha moment when you get to solve something that nobody has solved before, or something that's been bothering you for a while. So,
Nice.
very passionate about AI in recent years, obviously, for the potential and everything that you can do with it. So,
Yep.
apart from technology, I'm a big soccer fan or football fan, depending where you are.
Where are you, by the way? I'm sorry, you're not in Europe then.
Correct. Well, I'm in the United States. So I grew up in Mexico. So I grew up calling it football, but now if I say football over here in the U.S., most of the time people start talking to me about American football, which I know just the basics of. So that's why depending where I'm at, it's either soccer or football.
Yep, totally. All right. Well, I'm from Malmo, Sweden, right? And that's where Zlatan Ibrahimovic came from. So, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm cool by proxy.
Nice.
All right. So let's get into this. So there are plenty of AI services in the Azure platform. Let's focus on those. And what's interesting, of course, to a lot of companies out there is what it really takes, what kind of expertise it really takes to maneuver these. It's one thing that they are there, but who's going to use them and for what? So take it away.
Sure thing. And yeah, obviously ChatGPT, Azure OpenAI right now, Gen AI in general, it's exploded in the last couple of years and has brought even more interest in AI, because AI has been around for a while. Cloud and the performance that we have with cloud and the resources that we have made it more accessible. But I want to take that attention that Gen AI has brought into this realm and just focus on some services that Azure has had for a really long time that are a little bit more targeted and might be a better fit for certain scenarios.
Nice.
Because there might be some organizations out there saying, well, it's cool and Gen AI and these co-pilots and chatbots, but it's not really something that I can see being used in my organization. So I want us to take a look at what are the other things that are out there that maybe somebody goes and, oh, you know what, that sounds like something that I could use, and it's a lot easier to use, maybe easier to implement than a Gen AI solution. So I have
a pragmatic approach. I love it. All right.
Yeah, so I got a little graph for you and for everyone that shows the different services that are available out there. And like you said, what kind of expertise do you need in order to use some of these? So if we can show that real quick, I can go through those.
We'll see if that works. Oh, here we go.
There we go. All right. So
Nice.
Azure AI, what do we have in this environment? What does Azure provide for us for AI and ML needs. The very bottom, we have Azure Machine Learning. It's a machine learning platform where you can train your own models. You can test them, obviously. You can deploy them to web endpoints, or you can deploy them to batch endpoints. So it really takes your data all the way through until you can generate a model that can be deployed or integrated with your applications.
Mm-hmm.
I just used the service not that long ago, as last month, as a matter of fact, in a project where we were working with a museum to control the temperature and humidity conditions in different areas of the museum to make sure that the people there were comfortable, but obviously protecting all the art that they have in the museum.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very specific scenario, and there's definitely not something that you can just say, hey, Copilot, control the temperature. Well, that's not something that you're gonna do in this situation. You need something more automated, something behind the scenes. So that's where Azure Machine Learning comes in.
Mm-hmm. This, I mean, if I may add, like, position this, you said like it's a fundamental thing. I would say that this is a lot data sciencey. It's very low level. It's not one of those click easy to use services. You have to like be a data scientist here.
Correct. The interface is actually really easy to use. However, like you said, you need to have the basic concepts of machine learning. You need to know at least the very basics of what is a regression problem, what is a classification problem, how your features affect your results, what kind of things do you need to tweak in order to get the results that you're looking for. So it is definitely something a little bit more involved, and that it's going to require a little bit more knowledge on the data science. Obviously, you need to have some sort of data analysis background as well, so that you can prepare your data, so you can make sure and determine if your data is good enough to even train your model, because that might be your stopping point, that you don't have good data to begin with. But yeah, it's a lot more involved.
Yep.
Next, we have the API services suite, where we have APIs that have been, some of them have been around for a long time, and these are more common scenarios or problems. So analyzing images, it's a problem that has been around for a while. It's a very common problem, and Azure has an API for that. Speech, so text to speech, speech to text, again, a very common problem. Language, sentiment analysis, extraction of phrases, information. And more recently, we also have content safety. So if you're trying to protect your users, if you're trying to reduce the amount, or you're trying to put a check on the information that you accept, or the images that you can upload within that decision group that you see in the image, that's where the content safety API comes in.
Right.
Obviously, I don't know if you've heard of a little API called Azure OpenAI. That is within this group as well. But this is obviously much easier to use. As a developer, I think one thing that we've all done at one point or another in our career is integrate with an API. So if you know how to do that, you can use these APIs, and you can say, hey, my application is using API. My organization is using API.
So would you say that this is just Microsoft providing a service abstraction layer, and underneath the covers, they have implemented a service with an API that uses things like machine learning underneath?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It does give you a little bit of wiggle room. Some of these services are customizable. So if you have, for example, you're trying to analyze certain images, and you see that what's out of the box is not good enough for your case, or you have a very specific set of images that you're trying to train your model on, you can provide those images, label your images, and you can build a custom model. But
makes sense.
Yeah, but it's not as customizable as using Azure Machine Learning. With Azure Machine Learning, you have all these levers that you can pull to control which algorithm you're using, and some of the other things you can control. These APIs, you're a little bit more limited with that control.
Got it. All right.
Next are scenario-based APIs. So these are a very specific. It's a combination in a lot of cases of the services in the middle. Document intelligence, for example, uses vision and language to extract information from your documents. So it has APIs that allow you to extract information from receipts, invoices, and it's got a lot of relevance lately because it's a big part of a RAG pattern. So a lot of companies, what they're doing is they're using document intelligence to extract information from the documents and then store them in an Azure AI search index, for example, and then you feed that into a Gen AI application. So
is this what you would use if you wanted to like talk to your documents or ask it questions?
Yeah, so that would be your first step. So your document intelligence, you feed your documents, you extract information, and then that would be the foundation of that application that talks to your documents or talks to your data.
Nice.
So, like I said, a little bit more specific, but all of these services, you either have to be a developer or a data scientist in order to be able to use them, right?
For sure.
Like we said, machine learning, a little bit more on the data science side. The APIs, a developer, a data scientist.
Typically here you would write code to talk to an API, and you would not just pull something onto a screen with a connector, right? You have to actually use the API yourself.
Yeah, that is correct. So it's more going to be behind the scenes and not something that a business user might be able to do. Maybe a very tech-savvy business user, but more on the developer side.
Got it.
As we continue, we have the Power Platform services, so Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, Copilot Studio. So this is where we get into what you were just mentioning, where it's a little bit more graphic, a little bit more, citizen developers to be able to integrate with some of these services. Copilot Studio, obviously, if you want to build your own Copilot, bring your own data and train it on that. And then at the very top, we have 365, Dynamics, Partner Solutions, so services that already have some sort of AI in their Copilot. So if you enable Copilot in Outlook or some of your other services, you are already using AI. And again, this is more for business users than the service.
Yeah, I was going to say, at this level, it's more like using it rather than building it.
Yeah, unless you're doing something with Copilot Studio where you're still building, because you might be customizing or building a custom Copilot for your specific needs.
Okay, yeah, got it. Okay, cool. This is a very, very good rundown. Makes a perfect sense. There are layers to the cake.
Yeah, exactly.
Frosting on top.
Yeah. So yeah, and like I said, this is where I want to shine a light on these services, because an organization might say, okay, you know what? I don't see a use for a chatbot or a Gen AI application, but you know what? I want to automate the way that we ingest or we do our data entry. We ingest our documents. Yep. So document intelligence, that'd be perfect. A call to an API, very easy to use, and you're able to read your invoices, receipts. There's a whole list of APIs or models, I should say, that are available. You can create your own models as well. If your document is very specific, it has a very specific format, you can even customize it that way. So, like I said, it's important for organizations out there, I think, to know what else is out there, what else they can use.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. So now that we kind of know that there are so many services and like the different levels here, I appreciate you laying out how you would need to be a developer to use the following and so forth. And that makes a lot of sense. So before, as a company, before I'm we're even considering using any of these services, what are some things that we need to, ask questions we need to ask ourselves for our business before we go on an AI journey or whatnot?
Yeah, so I think it's very important that you don't try to fit the technology into your processes. So we've all seen the demos of Gen AI and the chatbots and all that. And think the wrong approach would be to say, okay, how can we integrate this into our processes? I think instead of that, we have to look at our processes, and companies should look at what are the biggest pain points that their users have. Are there any data entry processes, for example, that we have people spending half their day doing data entry, or they're doing data entry when they could be doing more important things, right? A very common scenario in here in the U.S. in healthcare is that a lot of nurses, doctors spend too much time entering data when they could use that obviously to see their patients. So I think that's the first approach. Go for the low hanging fruit. What can we do to say that we are an AI, or that we're using AI in our organization without going for the big bang? Because another thing that you have to consider is your users, right? When ChatGPT came out, we started to see all those articles and everyone in the news that developers are going to be obsolete, or AI is coming for our jobs. And for us that we're kind of in the middle of it, we know that it's not going to happen that quick, or happen at all, because we started to see ChatGPT making up libraries, and the code is not performant, and all these kind of things that we know that technology is not there yet. But sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I agree. It's not going to be that quick. No.
Yeah, but for people that are not in technology and they're not familiar with it, all they hear is this technology is coming for my job. So it's very important also for organizations to think, okay, what is the impact if we say that all of a sudden we're going to replace we're going to take away all these things that you're doing, and we're going to give it to an automated process behind the scenes.
Right.
You got to make sure that you frame it the right way, and you got to make sure that you go for those pain points. That, okay, this is where I'm spending on my time. Let's automate that, and we can go back to your users and say, hey, you know what? Now you're not going to spending 2 hours on this. You can spend time on this other things. You can maybe stop being late, because all that data entry is making you spend 2 extra hours at the end of the day, or whatever the case may be.
But
that's important to take those concerns or fears into consideration as well.
And see if you can relieve some of the actual pains that the company has. And because I've seen now, like I said in the intro here before we started talking, right, that everybody has to have AI, right? So now a new phone version release is like the next version now with AI. Everything seems to have AI in it. But I suppose what you're saying, if I get to paraphrase or summarize, that you should be careful as a company to not just jump on the bandwagon and offer another chat bot or some stupid thing that everybody already has, right?
Yeah, correct. Because that kind of takes us to one of the other questions that people should be asking is, do we have enough data, and is our data good enough?
Okay.
Because a phrase that people might have heard before is garbage in, garbage out. If you provide bad data to your model, whether it is a simple model or a Gen AI application, we've seen it where chatbots come up with all these crazy answers and things that they shouldn't be responding. So it's important for the organization to take a pause and look at their data and do a good analysis. At the end of the day, it's going to save them time and headaches, and maybe even lawsuits, because we've had the story of that chatbot that over here there was a story of somebody that chatbot on a car dealer, and it made the chatbot say that they were going to get a truck for like $1 or something like that, something crazy like that. So it's very important to take a pause and make sure that you take time and not just say, hey, we are AI, great. What issues are you gonna come up with now that you are an AI organization?
So you're an expert in this field, and I suppose the answer to the question is, of course, yes. But as a company, if you don't know, you should reach out to the experts in this field who have done this before, and maybe try to listen for the what could we be doing, and then also invite someone to like look at your business and understand where can we actually have benefit.
Yeah, definitely. You need someone that has, as we showed in the graph, that has that expertise, data science, or a developer that has a background on that, or somebody that has implemented this before. Obviously, with Gen AI being so new, that there's still going to be a little bit more of risk, which is again why I'm showing all these other services that have been tested and have been available for a while, because that might be a safer route if from the business side all they want to say is we are an AI organization or we are using AI. That is a much safer path for you to be able to say that.
Wow. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam, for kind of summarizing it, because 20 minutes is up. It's so fast. But I appreciate you being on the show, because this was a really, really strong rundown of the services and very clearly explained. So thank you for being on the show with me today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. And audience, I'll see you again next time for another episode of The Cloud Show.